Yo, yo, yo.
What's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm burnt out. I ain't gonna lie. Just life, relationships, work. It's all taking its toll this spring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it happens, man.
it,
It
it sure
happens.
does.
Yeah. Is
How have
that
you been?
y- listen, man. I don't know if I want to get into it.
Yeah,
We just
that's what I was just thinking about. What are we gonna talk about on this
I mean,
podcast? Because life
it,
sucks. But
yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, we just bought the kid a car and it's a little bit more money than I was thinking we'd spend, but
um,
there's just nothing out there like, that you can get anymore that's cheap. So,
no, I was looking like a year ago, and you remember the $500,000 cars? They're all like $4,000 or $5,000 now. It's
yeah.
ridiculous. The
Yeah.
little $1,000 beaters just ain't out there anymore.
Yeah. No, no, and that's the thing. I mean, we obviously want her to have something that's reliable and everything, and we have Audis, so she's used to driving the wife's SQ5, so like the sporty utility.
Yeah,
And she prefers that versus my car because it sits too low. So we were looking at a Q3, getting her used Q3, and we couldn't really find one that was like under 25, without it having crazy miles
uh,
on it, you
right.
know. And so the dealership up the street where we bought all our cars because one of my buddies works there. They had one. It was a 24. I mean, it's got like 30,000 miles, so it's high for a 24. But it was like a lease turn in.
Yeah,
But like they dropped the price like almost 3 grand, and so we were like, man, like really don't want to spend that money for it. But it was like it's practically a brand new car. Like it still has warranty on it. Like it's in really nice shape. Like so yeah. So we
how
were like,
many mile? How many miles are on it?
it has 30,000.
Yeah.
Which sucks. I mean, Audi's warranties to like 50, and honestly, dude, we can buy the extended warranty for like $2,000. It'll take it to like 75 or something like
Right.
that. So we'll probably just wait a little bit, buy the extended, get it to like 75, and then she'll have a car that you know can last her 10 years. Realistically. So
Is this the cheerleader?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's my only one. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
I didn't know if you had more than one.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
she did good in the cheerleading stuff, so this
Yeah,
is a
I
little
mean that.
reward.
Yeah, and I mean that's a thing. I mean, she does really well in school. She does good with the cheerleading stuff, and my parents had been putting money away for her to help us out buy the car. So like my parents gave us a big chunk of it. So at the end of the day, it wasn't too much on us to be able to buy. Um, so that's just been my like yesterday and today is realizing that I just bought a 15-year-old a newer car than I have technically because mine's a
On
23 and his,
that,
his 24.
uh, it, it's crazy. My nephews they started driving, and the cars they got, it's like, man, you guys didn't even have to work for these.
I
My
know.
my first car
I
was
know.
I had to actually buy it from grandma, and then everything else from there. There was no more deals.
Yeah.
Grandma didn't give it to me. I had to work for it, and then that was the last free one. They
Yeah.
got it easy nowadays.
Yeah, I know. It's a different world, man. I mean,
Totally.
I remember when I turned 16 and started driving, I got my parents' old car. It was a 78 Dodge Colt, you know. So like yeah, like this was like and this was let's see what I turned 16 would have been like early.
Yeah, we don't want to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll say it. Everybody knows I'm old.
Yeah, I know.
So when I turned 16, it was late. It would have been like 89, I think. 89. Yeah, because I graduated in 91, so it would have been like 89. So, I got a 10-year-old car that, was had a bunch of miles on it and beat and everything. So, yeah, yeah.
I,
Kids these
I
days.
was rolling around. I was rolling around in an '84 Skylark.
Oh no.
Thought I was God's gift to women in that car.
I remember one of my buddies, his first car when we were in high school, he had a Chevette. And I remember he used to walk around all the time like boys,
The
I'm taking
old vet.
taking the vet out this weekend. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
He's like,
I had a
"Look,
buddy that had one
yeah,
too.
yeah,
He didn't have um there really any shocks in the front of it. And it was a stick
oh
shift, so he'd do the clutch, and it looked like he had hydraulics in the front. And every time he left school, those were fun cars, though. Man,
yeah,
well, those and the Omnis.
yeah,
Remember that? Yeah,
yep,
those were fun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was when you could beat on cars a little bit and do stupid shit in the parking lot when you were a
Yeah.
teenager. Now you can't do any of that stuff. So, which is
Oh,
good, I
there's too
guess.
much. Well, you got to live a little. I mean, some of the stuff you can get out of hand, like them takeovers and stuff, but little burnouts never hurt nobody. Teaches you how to handle your car. It's
Yeah,
just there's too many cameras and Karens around nowadays.
I know, I know.
I couldn't imagine even the innocent stuff. Well, innocent stuff that we did.
Yeah,
Ooh, back in the day, man. Nowadays, hi
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, there's no way you could do that stuff now, and it's hard too because I mean, all three of our cars are Audis, so they're Quattros, so you can't peel out or do burnouts or any of that stuff.
Not at all. There's no way to turn that stuff off.
Nah, nah. Mine,
No.
mine, my. Well, I can't do a burnout, but so my RS3, you can actually like change. There's a torque differential select, so you can actually switch it and it'll actually kind of go into like what they call a drift mode so that you could technically like drift the car, like the ass end could get a little happy, but you're not spinning tires or doing burnouts or whatever. So yeah, it is what it is. Quattro's all, at least it's safe. At least she'll have
Right.
all four wheels firmly planted on the ground when she's driving at least. So yeah.
Where do you live at? You got winter?
No.
I mean
Dude,
snow.
so dude, we have summer and then we have more summer and then we have extra summer because I'm in Orlando. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yep. Oh, so
it's
watch
just
out, car.
it's summer all year long. Dude, I got in the car. We went grocery shopping. Me and the wife went grocery shopping today. Dude, it was 5:30, and I got in the car, and the temperature reading on the car is at 100 degrees.
It's June here, and we
Yeah.
we got to 71 today,
Oh,
and it,
dude.
and it lasted for like 30 seconds.
Listen,
Summer has not come to Michigan yet.
I'm jealous
We,
because it. I don't think it. I don't. It might have been like 71 at like 3 a.m. or something like that.
that's how it was in Houston. I liked it though, and the breeze picked up. It was great, but
Yeah.
I can't do this weather anymore.
Yeah. How was
The
that, by the way? Because you went to the Shine Time thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
How
was good.
how was it? Was it? They
It's
have a good
cool.
turnout.
That location is awesome. That's a
Yeah.
nice place to have.
I saw some of the videos. It was really cool with like all the planes and stuff that they were having. It's funny, like when I talked to Bob Rassman like a month ago or whatever, he was talking about like a big car show, and I never saw anybody post anything about the car show. It was all the planes.
They didn't show up.
Oh,
I
there it is.
guess I I don't know if it was the cars and coffee or whatever, but it ended up having such a big turnout the first day. They thought everybody would come the next day, and they didn't. You know, it's one of
Uh,
the things that happens. When I had my open house, nothing went right. None of the food trucks showed up. You know, so you can't plan everything. They had I don't remember how many it was, but you know, you could take the rides in the planes. Uh,
yeah.
When it came down to the event, there were only two planes available, but
Oh, okay.
I didn't do it. I with the way things have been going, you don't even want to know the week leading up to that show. I almost didn't go. I thought it was going to be bad luck if I got on the plane.
Oh, wow. Dude.
Yeah, yeah. That's how last week was. And, you know, before that, it started, this whole spring launch season sucked. But last week, just marinas, they don't forget plugs and boats. It hasn't happened here in 15 years. At
Holy
least
cow.
that I know. The last time it happened was 12 years ago, and it was a wood boat. They didn't leave it in the hoist long enough on the
Right.
weekend. Um, but that wasn't even the marina's fault. The owner said, "Yeah, it's ready," and it wasn't. But all everything just countless things, and then they put the boat in. They didn't come and get me. Sorry, Eclipse was walking by.
Yeah, you're all good.
They didn't come and get me. They come in, and I'm cleaning up the tires on the jet skis that were in here. And they're like, "We launched the boat for you." I was like, "Great, I'll get to it. You know, when I get to it." Well, luckily my nephew showed up and around lunchtime, and we shot the shit. And I was like, "While you're here, give me a hand moving the boat." We walk out there, and the fucker's sunk.
Oh,
Mine, yes, yes. Of all the everything else that could go on, something that never happens in this industry happens to me and my
yeah.
client. All,
Uh,
all this is the right before a plane's taking off for Houston. Yeah. I was like, there's no way I should get on this plane. This is
yeah.
turning into final destination shit. And as soon as the plane lifts off, man, it sounds like the timing chain fell off of it. I don't know if the motor shroud was vibrating. I was like, oh, I just rolled my eyes. I
Oh,
was
man.
like, here we go.
So,
Yeah.
s- so how did they get the boat out? They have
Well,
to
I caught.
dig
I
it?
mean, it wasn't a total loss. I got it out. The engine wasn't under, cabin
Oh,
wasn't full of water yet. So, but it sat out there for 20-25 minutes leaking water out of both bilges and the drain in the back. But it's, you know, it's like, how do you miss it? I had it sitting there so they don't miss it, but that's
yeah.
something they check anyway. It was right there on the outdrive. You couldn't miss it. When they were lifting that back out, I went to the shop and grabbed my pliers because I knew exactly where that plug was going to be. And as the boat came up, I held the pliers and I was like, and the one guy whose job is to check it, I held the plug. Once I grabbed it, he wouldn't look me in the eyes. So
Wow.
it's all good. I talked to the landlord when we got back, and I had a meeting with him. If anything's wrong with the boat, it's all covered. No, I
Wow.
kept it quiet. It, Alex, it was literally, if I decided to do that at the end of the day, I'm on a busy river and I got a bar across the river.
Uh-huh.
There would have been boats going up and down. I would have saw that boat on Facebook. Like, look, somebody's boat sinking on the Clinton River, and oh,
Yeah.
what the? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I would have found out about it.
Oh,
So
geez.
yeah, there was a big talk when we got back here. Just
Yeah.
one,
Well,
I should have been present.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, at least it sounds
Ugh.
like it wasn't terrible, at least. I mean, you
No,
said
but they're boats, man. You know, and
yeah.
if something on the inside wasn't supposed to get wet and it got wet, hey,
Uh,
that can just add up. So I
yeah.
wanted to make sure because you know some things like that don't poke their head right away.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah. It takes some time. Yeah.
you get that water and a little bit of grease and let it wear through. So it's all good. I got a good relationship with the owner of this place, but the Marina Yard guys, man, there's no respect, and that
Wow.
just proved it right there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, exactly. So you primarily work out of a marina?
yeah, I'm in Marina.
Okay.
I it I long story short, 2006, I think it was. I got a shop down the road right by my house, kind of across the street from the river and all the marinas. But I
Okay.
was so excited. I was so excited about it. I didn't measure the doors or anything. I couldn't get nothing. I couldn't get nothing but jet boats and bass boats in there.
Right, right,
Anything with a tower or an arch wasn't coming in. Anything slightly over 8.5 wasn't coming in. So
right.
I partnered up with a car guy, and he did the cars. And here's the shop I'm renting, and I'm doing them all outside. So '08 economy crash and all that went back to just mobile, and that's how I was gonna retire out of this. But the shop opened up in a marina with hoist. I got everything here
Oh,
to get
nice.
the boats in and out. So there's no holdups now. When I started doing the coatings and the serious correction, I would book them all for mid to late summer when all the fiberglass shops, when everybody else is slow and their shops are empty, I would
Right.
rent the shop space from them.
Oh, okay.
So um, one of the clients that had to do that, it bounced between three shops because they would change it on me, and it was a 2 week delay ultimately. And she's like, you just got to do it, because she seen the hassle it was trying to get indoor space doing
Right.
it the way I was doing it. She's like, just do it, you know, see what happens. I didn't I didn't want the overhead and all that. I was real scared. And I shit you not, 2 months after, the first 2 months were great. June comes, not one call, one text, one email, one Facebook message, nothing about actual work. And I was like, now what do I do? The whole
Yeah.
month goes by, phone don't ring, and I just opened up, you
Wow.
know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
it
scary thing, you know?
it is.
I found a little shop that's perfect for me. It's a little 600 square foot shop. You know, the door's like 9 foot wide, so I can get, you know, just about, anything up, dualies and stuff in there. I can't get like big things because it's not a tall, so I always tell people, like, it's, if it can fit in my shop, I'll do it, because anything that's too big to fit in my shop I really don't want to do anyways, right? Boats, buses, RVs, that type of shit,
Right.
and
Yep.
but dude, that's kind of how I am, like, like I didn't really ever want the big overhead because, what if? And I always tell people, with having a small shop and having, the rent is super cheap. Um, and I always tell people, the beauty of keeping my overhead so low is I don't have to make a lot of money to make money, right? Like, because
Right.
I'm not like, oh my god, I've got like $5,000 in overhead, so I need to make $10,000 plus. Like, I have $2,500 in overhead, so I have a $7,000 month, and I'm golden. Like,
Right.
I'm good.
Right.
You know, so
I I'm the same way. It's a Well, people that have seen it, I don't think it's that big because I'm always in
yeah,
you know the buildings that hold boats. But everybody's like, it's a really good shop, and I'm the same way. It's cheap. It's
yeah,
cheap. You would
that's
shit if you knew
that's
how much
awesome.
I paid for this.
Yeah.
It one boat with full correction and coating will cover this, and I'll have money in my pocket.
Wow,
So
dude, that's awesome.
yeah, I got lucky, and it's all utilities, which you know how important that is.
Yep.
All
Yeah, because that's
utilities are included.
that's how mine is. So, like, I've said it before, so I don't have any problem saying it, dude. I pay $400 a month, including utilities, for my little
Okay.
garage space.
Yep.
Dude. You one interior detail covers that. Like,
Right.
and that's the
Right.
other thing. Like, I set it up to. I've got like 6 or 7 of my clients that I set them up on monthly services. So, like, every Friday I go and I take care of their cars. So every first Friday of the month I'm collecting checks from them, and that first Friday covers probably half of my overhead. So, like,
That's true.
first Friday of the month I've got half of my bills for the month paid for, and
Yeah.
then
I have almost a similar. I do weekly maintenance on the boats,
okay,
and it's pretty much now. I bill them monthly when just them washes from Thursday. It depends. They're mainly on Friday, but we'll say Thursdays and Fridays. Just the washes from that
right,
now cover what I need to be covered, and those aren't. I'm backing out. They're all scheduled. You're getting billed
right,
regardless.
yeah.
The only way it doesn't get washed is if they're going out on it or it's raining. when it's raining, they expect you to come back. So
Yeah.
I got a good relationship. I don't do thousands of boat washes. It's mainly just my customers, but I finally got it where yes, nothing else needs to come in now. It's not going to bring in a lot of money, but everything's covered just from the washes that are scheduled each month. That part's covered. The reoccurring stuff
Yep.
now has reoccurring income.
Yep. And
So
it's
yeah,
great too because those are the people that you build a relationship with the most. So, you're seeing it on a regular basis. Like, for me, when it's cars, and most of them are have already been ceramic coated by me, but the beauty of it is it's like, hey, it's been a while since last time we did the inside, like, why don't we get you scheduled in the shop for the inside? So I just had one of my clients today. He's like, hey man, he's like, it's been 2 years since I got this. And he goes, we haven't done the interior in a while. And at first I was like, 2 years? Like you just got this thing. He goes, yeah, 2 years ago in June of 23. And I'm like, God, has it been 2 years already? And he goes, yeah, you know? And so he's like, it's been a while since we've done the inside. He's like, can we get the inside? I'm like, let's do it. Like, what day next week? He's like, going to the beach, this weekend, like let's do it later in the week. I was like, perfect. I got Thursday open. He goes, awesome. So like that's the thing I like about it is you see them on a regular enough basis, you build that friendship repertoire with them, and it's easier to sell them on interior services. It's easier to, hey, your other cars look like they need to be done, like why don't we get those scheduled in, and it's, like you said, the reoccurring business makes reoccurring business. So yeah, I think that's one of the smartest things I think I did, like, kind of stealing that model from when I left the car wash. Because when we were selling monthly services at the car wash, I remember the owner, because him and I were pretty good friends, and we'd worked together over many years. And I remember when that whole business model started in the car wash game, and we were doing it. He's like, look, man, he's like, we sell like X amount of these. And he goes, because it's all credit card charges or whatever. He goes, the first of the
right,
month, before we even open the doors, we've already covered, the month's overhead, the payroll, the insurance, the mortgage on the building. Like, he's like, we've done all that before we turned the first. So that was one of the things once I got kind of established and people were asking me about, doing regular washes. I was like, I can't do the car wash where you can come every day if you want, but I was like, we'll do it as a monthly service. I'll do it all on Friday, so the cars are clean for the weekend. I'll charge you X amount of dollars, for the month. And it's awesome, dude. Like, again, like I said, most of the cars are coded already. They're
right.
empty nesters, so they don't have, little kids in the back with food and glitter and all that stuff. So, like I pull up to the house and I'm like 35, 40 minutes from the time I pull up to the time I'm driving away, making $50 every Friday off of them, so like
Right.
I'm not gonna complain about that. And I, line 7 of them up through the Friday, like, I'm making like 1,600, $1,700 at the beginning of the month, you know,
Yeah.
for easy
Yep.
work, you know?
Right.
So,
That's just it. Yep. Get the
yeah,
easy work. Well, I got it now. I'm not like today. I didn't go out and wash boats.
yeah,
I got trained them. They can go out and watch. We're not dealing with all the coatings and stuff. It's just
yeah,
washing boats. So showed them how. Now I don't have to go out and do that on my Thursdays and
yeah.
Fridays.
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, get somebody else to
So
do it for you, yeah.
yeah.
I just
I it takes up a lot of time when you have boats in the shop and you got to go out and wash. So
Yeah. Well, and
I had
2,
to
like,
do it.
I saw one of your videos today. I don't know if it was, I don't know if it's that boat you're working on behind you, but you were doing like a full sand job on the side of the boat in that one video. Like I said, I don't know if you posted that.
Yeah, it's the one behind me.
Okay.
It's done now. I don't. I've been trying to catch up on some of the content. The
Uh-huh.
phone's full. It said I can't do anymore, so I had to whip some up together earlier. But Oh, I'd say 80% of everything that comes out of here is sanded.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. No bullshit. We're going for perfection. And what I'm selling them on is we're not doing this every year anymore.
Okay.
And when they sign up for the maintenance, I will honor my own. It don't matter the coating I'm using. My own 12-month, like 12-month in water. So if you do 6 months this year and six in the water, as long as
Okay.
I'm maintaining it minimum monthly, and it's the same as the weekly. Say it's $100 a week to wash your boat. You
Yeah.
do it monthly. Well, it's 400. It's
Yep.
it's not $100 once a month. It's 400 because it's just it takes 4 times as long. I
Right.
learned that a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's been sitting getting dirty all that time. Actually, it almost
Exactly.
takes longer. So either way, if you want a warranty, and I will probably because I'm on your boat constantly. I see if something's failing or whatever.
Right.
That's
Right.
part of the deal. I'll fix it there. So they're getting the life out of the boat, and I'm getting the guaranteed income on it. You
Dude,
know,
that's
until they cancel the wash. But
yeah.
I, it don't matter what coat on a boat. Any coating can say so and so many years. The real world's different, and if I'm not on it constantly, I don't know what they're doing
Yeah.
or what. We got uh Air Force base right here next to the water, and
Okay.
the marinas along the flight path for the runway and the other marina where they do all their bank turns, them boats are covered with soot from
Oh,
the
I bet.
jets.
Yeah.
It's Yeah, people don't realize that, but it's a real thing. Those boats in them spots, they get beat on.
Wow.
So the one marina, I won't offer coating if you're in that marina. I did it once and
You just won't.
it's just
Yeah.
constant failure. It's always clogged, and you can't charge people thousands of dollars and have issues like that. So I'm just not going to do it in that marina. You
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
what it is.
And one of the things that I'm kind of learning, with Aquatech is because we're kind of like, because like you reached out, right? Like, hey, do you guys have a marine
Yeah,
coating? Like we get people that are asking that, and I mean, we have our singular can be used on marine, and it will hold up and everything. But like we've started looking into like the possibility of doing a marine coating, and the one thing I've kind of learning that's different with marine coatings is a lot of them go seasons versus years, um, because in the marine world, it is a season that the boat's either in the water or on the water versus years, right? And
right, right.
so, like, that's another thing, like, we've been kinda looking at is, like, okay, like, so if we do come out with something, now we have to figure out, like, do we say years or do we say seasons? And if we say seasons, like, how long is a season? Like, like, all this.
Yeah, that's. Um, I mean, it's still the same approach, but I think they're a little more realistic with how Stark says their longevity. They do it by months, like 12 to 18 months,
Oh, okay.
which if you ask them more, breaks it down into like 6 month seasons.
Yeah.
But they're in Florida, and the salt water and all the sun, it
Yep.
beats the boat. So that
Oh, yeah.
they don't even really say how long it lasts. But that's their general. They don't do the whole years. They go by months.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
they'll,
more realistic with boats.
right, yeah, and that's one of the things, like, I was talking with, Rashid, which actually, by the way, he texted me earlier when we started this, so he said to tell you, "Hey," um,
Hey, Rashid.
yeah, if he's
I
listening to this.
love him, man.
I do too. I do too. But yeah, I mean, I've been kind of picking his brain a little bit, just getting some feedback, and then also I have a real good relationship with Angela out where's Angela out in the Pacific Northwest. So I've been talking to her about it, trying to get some info, if it's something we do. And yeah, it's definitely like I think it kind of depends on the detailer. Some of them are, you know, a season is 6 months. Some of them is a season is all year, so whatever. So,
Right,
so yeah, it's interesting, when you get to the different types of coatings and everything and how things work. And it's crazy too, because like I never really paid attention much to marine detailing, and then, becoming friends with Rashid. and Angela, talking to you a little bit. I've got another buddy that does some boats, not all the time, but he does them, pretty regularly. And it's just, yeah, it's a different world because I don't
It
do boats.
is.
So like, I don't do them. I don't choose to do them. I don't really want to do them, But if somebody calls me, and is like, "Hey, I got a boat," I'm like, I hate turning away money, like,
Right.
you know.
That's how the cars end up in my shop.
This podcast is sponsored by Detailed Image. What sets Detailed Image apart? Their outstanding customer service and fast shipping on 3,000 detailing products from almost 100 brands, plus their extensive product descriptions, detailing blog, and how to guides make it easy to choose the right products for any job. And here's the best part: listeners of the Detail Solutions podcast get an exclusive 15% off with the promo code DSP15. That's DSP15 for 15% off your order. Another option for the pros listening is their incredible wholesale program that saves you on average of 15 to 30% off. In 2024, wholesalers saved on average of $699. There are no fees, no commitments, and no subscriptions, just huge savings. Join today at detailedimage.com/wholesale/DSP, and you'll get a bonus $20 credit when you make your first purchase. Again, for the wholesalers, that's detailedimage.com/wholesale/DSP and get an extra $20 credit. Yeah.
That's how that's because I'm exactly the opposite. This is
Okay.
all I've been doing.
Yeah.
Cars are the other way. My back hurts after I do a car, and oh God, I got to do an interior, and now I'm the same way. Throw me a 60-foot Sunseeker, and I'll smile.
Yeah, dude, just
Show me a black Suburban, and I'm like, come
yeah.
on, you
Yeah.
know.
What made you want to like go the marine route? I mean, did you grow up more around boats and dealing with boats than cars, or like, how was that?
Growing up, my grandparents, they had boats, and my uncle, so I grew up around it, but I was so young I don't remember it much.
Yeah.
But I'm right by the water; they're all around, and I got a Honda Spree, and then I got a little 15-foot boat. I got the boat before I got my first car. And I've been hooked ever since. It used to be just a little island hopper. Somebody buy us beer and we'd go out and spend the weekend there.
Right.
But hmm, late teens, early 20s, got a boat that is worth waxing now.
Okay.
So I used to build lowriders and all that stuff, and we all had paint jobs, and we would take care of them. Um, Couple buddies worked at the Auto One, or was it Auto One? Auto One and Z Barts and stuff. So we were always throwing around the polishers and stuff, but I called around not realizing the gel coat paint difference. I was just assumed it's completely different. So I called around to see how much it was to get the boat done. And I said, nah, I'll do it myself. And
Right.
a couple people said it looks good. I did a couple more boats and started doing it strictly bolts full time around 97. Started Mike's Marine Care in 98. Yeah.
Wow. So you've been doing it
But
for a minute then.
17 is when well, 17 is the first boat I did. 18 got my first job doing it. So
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
48.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
is literally the only thing I stuck with that I'm good at in my life, even with drinking and all that stuff. I never tarnished my name in this industry
No,
because
that's
I'm always out on the water. I run into my customers,
yeah.
you see them in the bays and stuff. And, when I drank, I mean, that's where the Captain Shoregasm, everybody used to call me Shoregasm or Captain Shoregasm because that was a whole different entity out there. So, I mean, everybody knew the face. I
Right.
kind of fell down the hole there, put myself trying to find rock bottom and just could never find the right one. You know,
Wow.
each bottom I found had more to dig in.
Wow.
So finally, I got pulled over with Calypso in January of 2020, and it was for a DUI. I had a technical issue with the truck, and cops pulled up behind me, and she gave me a dirty look, and I said, no more drinking. Whatever happens, no more. And I've been done since.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm glad. I'm glad
Yeah,
you.
and it used to be a crutch. That's why
Yeah.
everything's now with the business and stuff. It's like I don't have that fallback, and this is the first time I'm really dealing with real pressures. You
Yeah.
know, of like leading up the last 5 years. I guess every time you run into a new thing, it's like, oh, I've never been tested like this, but from all angles this time, it's just hit me, and I'm proud of that. The only drinking I thought about is that I'm not thinking about drinking. It's not
Right.
like there's an out. It's that because I know what will happen. I was not the one that I needed it to function. I was the one if it hit my lips, I didn't stop. And who knows what happens? Like, you know,
Okay.
blacking out. That's I would drink the blackout basically.
Oh wow.
I could maintain it. I could go out with my customers, have a couple beers at whatever lunch or dinner or on the dock with them. It's it just wasn't enough. So by the time I get home, you know, bring a bottle home and just drink it. And that was a vicious cycle. And that's essentially why I can't drink no more. I don't have another restart in me. It's that's
Yeah.
all gone. 5 years ago. 5 years ago I was this started in 16. I went to rehab and met the wrong woman, let's just say. And
Okay. We've all been there.
that I just,
We've all met the
yeah,
wrong woman.
it wasn't so much her. I'm not blaming her. It's just the lifestyle. It turned right back into the party mode, and there was no
Oh, I
escaping
got
it. And we got to, I got to a point. Hell, my truck had just broke down. The alternator went on Christmas Eve, and I knew I had to get out of that situation. So I packed everything in my Navigator, packed the dog up, and we stayed in that for almost 4 months
you. Oh
with no
wow.
alternator. I could go about 20 minutes or 20 miles per charge that I did, and
Oh
that's what we
jeez.
did. And we would, yeah, but that was the only way I could get sober. I was facing
Yeah.
court and jail time, and you know, you name it. So we did what we had to do, and then they put me away for a little bit. I got out. I was on the water within 5 hours of getting out of jail, and summer's here now, so I started captaining jobs. I had an alcohol tether on. Everybody wanted me as their captain because they knew I wasn't going to
Yep.
drink.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a hindrance. I had more captain jobs that summer than I have ever and
Oh,
since.
I mean, that's good. I
It's
mean,
amazing.
it's silver
Yeah,
linings, I guess, like,
yeah. So, but you know, the same thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're on the water around all that alcohol, you're going to relapse." I'll be honest with you, Alex. It was the best thing for me because I live out there. That's my life, and
Yeah.
one to know I can do it without the beer. That's great to know.
Yeah.
Two, I've never enjoyed boating or hanging out in the bays as much as I do sober. It's fun. It's still
That's
fun
awesome.
without drinking, and I
Yeah.
remember it all. I can
Yeah.
remember what happened.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man.
uh,
I'm happy for you, man. I'm glad
Thank
that
you.
you had a turnaround, and thankfully it didn't take like something extremely drastic or deadly or
Well,
whatever.
5 DUIs. That's pretty drastic.
Well, yeah,
That
but
last
I
one
mean,
was number five. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I know what you mean. I'm
yeah,
grateful of that every day.
yeah,
The only the only real damage I did with all was to myself.
right,
I didn't hurt nobody, you know, and
yeah.
yeah, that
That's
I'm thankful for.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Hang on a second. Can you move? Can you move, please? The cat is cat is all over my stuff.
Well,
Can you
it's
go?
because we're doing this. Calypso never walks right in front of me in the coffee
Yeah,
table, but
yeah,
because this is here, of course she has to. Yeah,
yeah.
she passed out now.
Well, she the I guess I didn't close the door all the way. So she came in here before I came in the podcast. So when I came in the podcast, she likes to. There's a little window right over here to my right, and she likes just sitting in the windowsill and watching the bugs or the lizards or whatever. And so when I came in, I was like, close the door, and I'm like, all right, well, you're stuck in here with me. So now she's like keeps crawling all over the table here, and I just don't want her to step on something and mute button or disconnect this or whatever, So I'm just
Right.
having to move her because she was like right when I said that she was kind of stepping over my mixing board, and so I wanted to make sure she didn't knock anything or pull anything out or whatever. Um, she's a good kitty. Um, but yeah, dude, that's awesome, man, for you. Like I said, man, I'm really really happy for you that you had that turn around and it's been super positive for you and everything. Um, that's cool, man. So and it's good that you're actually being able to enjoy being on the water now.
So
And
much, so much more. It, it's funny. You hear it in rehab or what. I mean, with the internet, people have seen memes or about it, but you always hear people do it. It's easy, one day at a time. But when you're in that spot, you can't picture a year down the road,
right,
5 years down the road. Like I would never have pictured I'd actually have a shop again.
yeah,
That actually had work and uh, I know none of this would have happened if I kept drinking. Actually, I probably wouldn't even be here. It was getting to that point.
oh
If
wow,
I didn't do so, yeah, if I didn't do something dumb to kill myself, I was so miserable. I
yeah,
probably would have offed myself because I
wow,
thought about it a couple of times. Yeah, yeah.
wow.
Addiction and depression, man, they're no joke.
Yeah, yeah. So do you like have support with it now, or I mean, is it one of those things that's kind of like cold turkey and you just
It
are
was
able to?
cold turkey. I mean, I was facing uh, over the years from all the other court ordered stuff. I know that AA don't work me. I have my own way. I've never like being told what to do. So you're
Right.
telling me not to drink. I just want to do it more.
Yeah,
This and I I've realized that the only way you're gonna quit an addiction is if you yourself truly want to. Because 20 years I've done court ordered this, court ordered that, appeasing mom, appeasing the girlfriend, doing it. You know, I didn't want to. I did stop. I had plenty of times. I had 9 months, like, but it wasn't for me. It's like
right.
you wanted me to quit drinking, and slipped up. This time, I said I'm not gonna. I'm done with this, and
Yeah.
you get that
It just
mindset, and it actually, yeah, I don't even think about it. I really, going anywhere that had a pool table, like, oh, never played that sober, and
right.
I hit a lot better when I got a buzz. Go figure. I can't play pool sober for shit. But it's you get the right mindset, and it doesn't even bother you. But I understand the whole addiction thing because I can't get rid of cigarettes. Man,
Yeah,
I've tried so many times. I'm not gonna stop trying. One day it'll kick, but it ain't been easy. I can't just say I'm done with these and put them down. They
yeah.
got a hold on me. I wish I never picked these up.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, man, I hope for your sake you do one day put him down. I mean, I've seen, plenty of people who didn't and, you know, lose their lives kind of early to cancer or whatever. I've seen my dad was a smoker, his whole life, and I've seen like how it's really affected his health and his decline, now that he's getting older and he's had a bunch of, heart attacks and things like that, and a lot of that was, attributed to, the smoking, some of it to just, kind of unhealthy eating habits and whatnot. But as he's gotten older and everything, because of the smoking, the doctors are like, your heart just really isn't producing as much. I mean, he can't go 5 steps and he's got to like stop and he's out of breath. He's, on oxygen now. So, and we know that that's all from smoking. So, I see people who smoke and I'm just like, man, like, I wish I could stop. So I hope for your sake one day you can, so that, maybe you don't have, those issues later on, or don't, get a cancer or something like that. But
Right.
I
It.
understand
I.
smoking
I
is
was.
the hardest to get to kick.
It. In all the stuff that they teach you about the chemicals, it's the most addictive
Yeah.
chemical that's known, and I get that, but I heard you talk about your dad on another podcast. How's he doing?
I mean, he's all right, but like I said, I mean I think like I think the last time my mom was talking about it, like they went to the doctor, like his heart is basically like working at 25% capacity. So that's why like he can't, walk very far. And then of course my dad's just, you know, typical stubborn male. He's got a walker. He's got a walker, but anytime like we go anywhere with them, or he comes over here, like he refuses to use the walker. Like they'll come over here and we'll go to dinner. My mom's like telling the hostess, like, you got a table real close because he can't walk far. And I'm like, go get his fucking walker out of the car then, like stop being macho man, like, at home when nobody's around, he uses his oxygen and all that stuff because he just doesn't breathe very well, like his lung
Yeah.
capacity, his heart, and all that stuff. But like he comes over here and he won't put his oxygen on, he won't wear it. He doesn't want to like show, I guess, that weakness or whatever. So like he just sits there and he's just like, he just can't catch his breath.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, just put your oxygen on. Like, like you don't have to like, you know, be Superman anymore. Like I understand you're not well. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, I hate to say it and hopefully I don't get too emotional with this, but I mean like, it's tough, dude, because, he's my dad, and I mean like we went out to dinner with them like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Like they came to Haley's cheerleading and or to like one of her practices and so we all went to dinner and me and my dad were kind of talking afterwards and he's like I go to bed every night and like is this the night that I don't wake up? And I'm like, oh, dude, like don't tell me that. Like, like, so I don't know. I mean, the doctor says he's probably still got, at least 1 or 2 years left, but I don't know. He acts like, the end is near. So, we try to make more time now to spend time with my parents because they're not really that far away. They're only like maybe 40 minutes away. Um, but it's just we're just busy between, jobs and Haley's cheerleading and, you know, running errands and this and that. It's just sometimes it's hard to find the time to get over there and spend. So we're trying to make it to where we spend that time now with them. Just because don't ever know.
Right.
So yeah. So it's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's tough, man, but like I cherish every phone call now, whereas sometimes before, my dad would kind of call me, and just for nothing, and I'd just be like, "Okay, dad," because I gotta go.
Mhm.
Like, and now it's like, I don't have that attitude anymore, like because I know like one day the phone calls will stop coming. So like I try to cherish more of the time. Um, even like they came over here for what was it, Memorial Day? That was the last holiday we had, right? Yeah, they came over here
Yeah.
for Memorial Day, and everybody was in the pool and everything like that. And Michelle's like, "You gonna get in the pool? You gonna get in the pool?" And I was like, "I mean, I will," but I was like, I want to sit on the porch with Dad, for a little bit and talk. So like I try to like take that time of, sitting on the porch and talking with him a little bit more, not worried about jumping in the pool and cooling off and,
Right.
with everybody else. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, man, life.
Can you give me 1 second? I gotta
Yeah.
grab the cord. My
Yeah.
headphones are beeping.
Oh, okay. You're gonna die on me.
No, no, because I'm. Oh, come on. Excuse me, Calypso. Big butts in the way. There we go. Still got you.
Yep, I'm here.
All right,
Okay,
perfect.
good deal. So yeah, um, so yeah, man. I mean, it's one of those things that just makes you appreciate, you know, and being
Yeah,
able
you
to.
got. My mom. She got diagnosed June 27th with cancer,
Oh
and
man,
October 17th. Yeah, October 17th she passed. It went that quick.
wow.
And
Sorry.
that's why, man, I felt what you said when the phone rings and you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
and then you get something like that happens, and hers went so quick. God, there's guilt of all the thing, the times
yeah.
incidents like that when you didn't know it was going to be that fast.
Right, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
just the day she ended up passing, because I've always had my own business, and she needed care when they did the chemo and stuff,
uh huh.
which they told her it was terminal, and they wanted to do the chemo to prolong it. That chemo, man, that made the last part of what she had left horrible. If they tell me I'm terminal, I am not gonna do chemo.
Yeah,
Just let it ride. But
yeah,
yeah, it was just amazing how quick that it progressed, and it's wow. You it, you don't realize how much a person means in your life
yeah,
until they're gone like that. Yeah,
yeah,
and still, this October will be 18 years, and still, I like now that being sober and having the shop and stuff. I wish you could see it, and
yeah,
that's my only regret of the whole drinking thing, is that she didn't get to see me sober, because I
yeah.
she might not have said it, and there are times she might have enabled it, wanting to go out on the boat, showing up at the door with a case of beer, like, let's go, I'll put gas in it.
Right,
But
right.
I know deep down that because my dad wasn't drunk, he took off. I don't really remember him, but
Okay.
I wish he could have saw that. So
Yeah,
that's like my one regret out of all the drinking.
yeah. That you
I,
don't get to
I
see
didn't
it.
hurt nobody and anything like that, but my mom never got to see it. And
Right. Yeah.
that's one I wish that she did. I know she sees it now, but
Sees it
it's not
now.
the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, that's the thing is you want your parents to at least know that you succeeded or that you made it or you did it.
Right.
That they did a good job and everything. So um, yeah. And I'll tell you what, man. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I mean, I never drank, I never smoked, but obviously the older that I've gotten, I have put on some weight. So like it's made me like kind of realize like I try not to eat stupid anymore or just eat to eat, like I'm trying to, shed some of the pounds. Um, Michelle and I, we try to do if it's not raining or we don't have one of the nights when we have to take Haley to cheer, we have a 3 mile loop that we go and we walk. And, we're trying to make sure that we stay active and, make sure that we don't, as we get older, we don't, just kind of give up or not be active enough, so we're trying to like, okay, we see like all the mistakes people made, so like how can we try to make sure that when we get into our 70s, that we're not just two bumps on a log, like we're still active, and one of our biggest motivations is our neighbor that lives catty corner across the street. um I think he'll be 92 or 93 this year or something like that, and like, dude, you look at him and you wouldn't think he was a day over like 80, I mean, like
Yeah.
he's out there mows his yard, he's tinkering on the trucks, like he's always fidgeting in his workshop, like he's active. He's always doing something, so like we kind of use him as our motivation, we're like, we want to be like Mr. Bill when we're in our 90s and we can still like get up and move around and drive and do this and do that. So yeah, we've kind of taken that, we walk as much as we can. You know I posted a thing the other day because I thought it was kind of funny, that the um how the old Tamagotchis, you had to keep the animal alive with the Tamagotchis, and it's like,
Yeah.
the new smartwatches or the new Tamagotchi, the animal you're trying to keep alive is yourself, and it's true. Like I
Yeah.
try to wear my watch as much as I can, so like I know, like, okay, it's time to stand up. I need to move around. I need to do the things, and I track my steps now, and I track my activity and all this, so like it's made me like try to be a little more health conscious, so that I'm not in that situation because
My one of my buddies passed a few years ago, and I've known his mom when I knew him, but we became close because uh, she was turning 80 back then, and
uh-huh.
just so help her out and stuff and all that. But we become real close, and she'll be turning 85, and it's the same thing.
Wow,
Out
yeah,
there doing her leaves, cutting the lawn, there's leaves in the gutter. She's trying to climb up a ladder to go do it, and she's motivation. Like, I hope when I'm even close to that age, I'm still
yeah,
getting around doing. Even if I don't want to cut my lawn, I want to at least have the mobility to do it.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the shop extended it a little bit, but when I got so, have you ever heard of the Great Loop?
No.
You go down the Mississippi, around Florida, up the East Coast, through the Great Lakes. It's a big
Okay.
circle.
No, I never.
People do, people do it, and usually when they retire, and they say if you want to enjoy it, it takes a year. There's people that have done it. I think the fastest was like 33 days. There's two people doing it on pontoon boats right now.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen any updates from them, but in the past there were two on jet skis trying to do it. But I've
Gosh.
always wanted to do that.
Yeah,
Always wanted to do it. When I joined the Power Squadron way back in the day, and one of the old boaters was talking. They had just come back from it. It's like, what is that? And at that time, I didn't even know you could take the Mississippi all the way down to the Gulf. So
yeah,
that was cool, and I looked more into it. And I've been talking about it ever since. So I got sober, and I said, when I turn 50, I'm taking off, and I'm going to do it. Because the whole point, I started making content and an online presence. So I'm going to supplement my income on the boat. And if I got a little name out there when I'm coming down the Mississippi, and I'm going to be in A and
yeah,
B Marina,
yeah,
you'll know who's coming in, and I'll try and line up some work. But
yeah,
I don't know if that's going to happen now, because just, life changes. And I, I do so much boating. I couldn't find that when we were down in Florida, Alex, I went back to the Keys, and I haven't been on land in the Keys in a very long time. We used to run poker runs down there,
okay,
and I my truck got really really trashed in Miami. I couldn't find a car wash. A couple of the mobiles that I found online said, "Yeah, we'll come out," and they never did while we were down there. So there's no market down there, and
yeah,
I was like, "There's water on both sides.
yeah,
Just get a decent boat, a small house." When the work comes, I don't need to go travel. I got it all around here. And we'll get a camper and we'll go travel that way.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really sounding like the plan now. But
yeah,
who knows? I'll worry about it when it comes. Because one thing I've learned in all this is you can plan as much as you want. Life happens, and it might not work out that way. So that's what I try and just
yeah.
ride the wave with most things.
I'm the same way too. Like, I mean, I like my structured ways. Like if I'm doing this, I gotta kind of do it that way or whatever. But at the same time, Michelle will be like, "Well, what do you think about, spring break next year? Like we do this," and I'm like, "I mean, sure, I guess. I mean, like that's so far ahead." She's like, "Why don't you ever like planning things?" And I'm like, "Because I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow." I mean, like,
Exactly.
like nothing's it's like, tomorrow's not promised,
Nothing's
right?
promised. Right.
And but at the same time, like you said, right? Like life changes, like things happen, things come up. I don't know. I mean, we could be in a situation next year where like, yeah, we're making more money than we ever had. Sure, let's go take a vacation on spring break. Or it might be like, you know, the shop's closed down. I'm looking for a job somewhere, or like
Right.
whatever. I don't know what. So I always tell her like, I mean, sure, whatever, and she's just like, you never have a say in it. I'm like, because I really don't know what's gonna happen next year,
Yeah.
or in 2 weeks. I told
It,
the eye doctor, that when I went to the eye doctor a couple of months ago, and they're like, okay, so we'll have you come back next year. Da 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 da. Is this day good? And I'm like, lady, I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Like, yeah,
exactly.
I guess put it down, and then when we get, if we get there, then we'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
it's
I
like,
try not to do more than like a month, two at the most
yeah,
out, because after that, man, there's just too many variables that are
right,
going to change.
right,
Especially something like, is this date going to work for you? It's like, I
right.
don't know.
Well, and two in our business too, right? You could be like, "Oh yeah, like I don't have anything scheduled next year in my shop," but like, then like 2 weeks before, you get somebody that's, wants a coding job or something like that. Yeah, I'm booking that. Like, fuck my eyes, like I got
Right.
contacts, like
Yep.
got
Yep.
glasses, like, let's do the job first. So so yeah, I mean that's the other thing I always tell people. I'm like, look, like I don't know. I mean, I could have nothing booked tomorrow, and I get a phone call, and then I'm booked out the week. Like, I can't. It's hard for me to make plans like that.
Yeah.
Um, and
A lot of people, if this ever comes up, don't seem to have that problem, except people who are in the detailing world.
yeah,
It seems like our lives are based like that because that's how the work is sometimes.
yeah. I mean,
A
it's
lot of detailers say that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I
it's
got
tough.
somebody knocking at the door, Alex. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, man.
It's a little late for
Yeah.
customers.
Should we put a commercial here? We'll put a commercial here. Everybody's listening. We didn't go dead.
All right.
Okay.
Some somebody's girl that they're having on their boat can't find the bathroom.
Oh.
Apparently, my door looks like the bathroom.
Listen,
Like,
lady,
where's the bathrooms at?
it might be a shit show in here, but it's not for shitting.
uh, it's amazing how many people this shop, even on the outside looks just as eccentric as me.
Yeah.
Um, but it does not look like a boat mechanic shop, and you would be surprised how many people walk in here and that's what they're looking for.
Oh
It's like,
wow.
you don't want me doing that work on your boat, trust
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah. It's like I'll clean up the
I'm too tall to be a mechanic on
yeah.
boats.
Yeah.
You got to be almost like jockey size.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, to fit
Yeah,
down.
them engine. Them
Yeah.
engine compartments are tight.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounded like it was yeah. Many, 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 many years ago in a different life, I worked for in the detail shop for one of the um boat dealerships here in Orlando. And I'll tell you what, that was not a fun job. I think that's where
No.
I realized I didn't like detailing boats. Is at that place. The only ones I like doing was like the brand new ones when they come in like with all the saran wrap, coverings over them and
Yeah,
everything. We had to,
yeah.
take those off and just kind of like gently wipe down the interiors and everything. But man, those used boats that would come in with the moldy seats and all that stuff, we'd have to scrub and clean down. That was not for me. Um,
That's like in a lot of the boat trainings. The examples that you train on aren't real world.
yeah,
I'm doing a shrink wrap training in the fall, and I think it might end up becoming bigger. And if it is, I got a whole boneyard across the street,
nice.
plus a couple people that I know. Would, I've got real world examples.
Yeah,
It would be one of them classes where if you want to do both, you're going to do them. But if you're not really sure, you're not going to want to
yeah,
after this class because it's going to be the real world example of what shows up at your door.
right, right. Yeah,
uh, it's
I remember when I
some
was
that. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I remember one time at one of the car washes that I ran, we had somebody bring in um I don't remember what it was like I don't know. I mean, it was a decent sized boat. I want to say maybe probably like a little bit less than a 30 footer. But between like a 24 and a 30, I would say, because it was decent size. But I mean, it was like it had just sat out underneath a tree for a year. I mean, the thing was like green, like the interior was nasty. And yeah, it was definitely one of those ones that I said, "All right, detailers, this is your job now." I sold it, so go to it. And they hated me for it. But I mean, I got up
It's
there. I got up there and worked with them. I did the work with them and everything, helped them out. But you know, dude, I think we charged the guy like $800 or something like that, which nowadays might be stupid cheap, but this would have been like mid like 2005-ish or so. Um, so I don't know. It was
yeah,
probably good money for back then.
yeah, probably. It's all relative. My buddy, I've known him since high school, and he had his own painting company. He doesn't do it anymore, but we were talking, and sometimes I have a problem telling somebody the price to do their boat because I've been doing it so long. It sounds like crazy expensive when back in the day I was doing stuff for $400. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, dude. I
And
still
I got that them old prices in my head, and
yeah
like like 400 all day long. 800 was nuts, but nowadays 800 ain't nothing, and I still have that. Oh,
yeah
they're gonna trip when I tell them 800. You know what
yeah
I mean?
yeah.
So
I mean, that's the same. I mean, when I was at the car wash, dude, we had like 199.99 for a full detail, full interior extraction, leather cleaning and conditioning, rotary cut and polish and
right,
wax, and and I'm just like, because I remember when I started doing ceramic coatings, I was like, man, these people like bitch about $200, like ceramic coating, like. And I was one of those idiots that didn't know any better and was charging like 400, 500, $600 for ceramic coating, and dude thinking I was like making all the money in the world, and
right,
everybody's like
right.
everybody's like, dude, like you got to be $1,000 plus or whatever, and I'm like, what? Like, who's
Yeah,
paying that? Um,
that's what I thought too.
yeah. Um,
But wait, do you do many exotics or any at all?
no, not really, man. I mean, I've done a few, but honestly, like my bread and butter is kind of like that 60 to 100 price range, like the the kind of cars that we have, like the the sports or the RSs, between the M cars, BMW, Mercedes, Audi,
Yeah.
like that higher end 60 to $100,000 is really like my bread and butter, and I like those because to me those are the people that of like, okay, I've spent good money on a car. I want to spend good money to keep it clean, or keep it protected, right? Like I feel like, the people that are, buying, you know, 20,000, $30,000 cars really don't give enough don't give a shit about them, right? It's just like
Right.
that's the cheap car these days, unfortunately. And then people that are spending 150K plus, like they're not driving those cars enough to like need them detailed or want them detailed or that type of stuff. So I like that 60 to 100K range, man, like where I can just, you know, take care of people and they're willing to pay for it. They know how much it's going to cost them, they're keeping them up, keeping them cleaner longer, so
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
as bad when I do clean them. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I mean, my viewpoint on exotics has changed. I mean, obviously, when I got into this, I was like, "Oh, I want to do all the Ferraris and Lamborghinis," and
Yeah.
now I'm like, bro, I don't care as long as you pay me. Like, I don't look at the
Exactly.
badge. I don't look at the badge. I just look at the check, right? Like,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
I've
um,
always been that way. A Ferrari and a Ford, man, I treat them the same. But
yeah,
where I was going with that is the price of the toys, and
yeah,
you got in there. That's what gets me. Boats, the low end, they're outrageous now, but
oh
a
yeah,
decent middle ground boat is $300,000 to $500,000 nowadays.
yeah. It's
They don't
nuts.
they don't take care of them.
Yeah,
That's why I was asking if you the exotics, like, you ever seen one of those completely wrecked?
no,
That's how
no,
boats are when they're
yeah.
spending that kind of money. They don't take care of them, and it just
That's nuts.
amazes me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it amazes me.
yeah, and it's crazy too because like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of water down here in Florida, so there's a lot of
Yeah,
people, especially now, Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings, you see like everybody on the like, with their boats on the trailer behind the trucks, like heading out, either going to get on the river, going out on the lakes or whatever. And like you see some of these friggin' boats, man, and you're just like, God, how do you have the money for that? Like,
yep.
I mean, it's like,
I see them all the time. I'm right on the river on a
yeah,
Tuesday with a $300,000 boat. It's like,
yeah,
why aren't you at your job? Same.
yeah.
Well, even the little guys on their bass boats, those are all
Oh, yeah,
60 and eighty
yeah,
thousand dollars
those are
now. And
stupid
they're out
too.
there all during the week. It's like, what do you guys do for work?
Yeah,
You're never working. New truck pulling it.
yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of, and I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but the only thing I can think of is maybe boat payments go a lot longer than car payments
Oh
do,
yeah,
so
you
like,
can go 30. You can go 30 years on a boat.
yeah, so that's different, with cars, especially with an
Right.
exotic or something like that. I mean, even if you went 5 years or 7 years, you're still at like $2,500, $3,000 a month on a car payment for for a half a
Yep.
million dollar car Ferrari or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, and that's my other thing. Like the older I get now, like, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind having, a badass Porsche or, being an Audi guy, an R8 or Ferrari or something
Yeah.
like that. But like, I'm like, man, there's no way in hell I'd pay $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month for a car that I can't really drive because most of those cars, as soon as you put miles
Yeah.
on them, then they're worth
Yep.
nothing, like, so,
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know,
some of the dealers here at the boat shows they'll put like the monthly payment formulas they do,
yeah,
and 20% down on a $1.1 million boat, and it's only 4,500 a month or whatever.
yeah,
It's like
all
4,500, and that the people that are buying them boats, they're going in Memorial and they're coming out Labor Day.
yeah.
So 9 months out of the year, you're paying for that, and you're not even using it.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
I don't know. Boats are one of those things that amaze me. Like they're really cool. Like some of the things that especially like when you get into the fucking yacht styles. Like
Yeah.
the crazy shit that they can do on these boats or do with these boats or whatever. But then it's like like Jesus Christ. I mean, you got a $200 million yacht. Like, are you really on that bitch all the time? Like, like you
When
know,
you got a boat like that though, that boat's making money because when you're
yeah,
not using it, it's
yeah,
getting chartered. That's what I would
like
do.
having it's like having a private
Yeah.
jet, you charter it out
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
get that, but it's still like,
It's
God,
still expensive.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you see it's like, oh, Jeff Bezos, $500 million boat, and it costs like $20 million a year just to operate it, or some crazy shit like that.
That's
You're like,
probably just for the staff.
yeah,
They say a good rule of thumb is 10% of the purchase price is the yearly operating
yeah,
costs.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's
yeah,
fucking that's
that's the thing. It's like buying a big house. Everybody, oh, I'd love to have a yeah. Until the heating bill comes and the
yeah,
electric bill comes, it's not
exactly,
so much fun anymore.
exactly.
Well, the boat I was gonna do the loop on, I had a
Uh,
38 Chris, and I figured it out. Even being real easy on the throttles, that trip would have been probably 50 to 55,000 in fuel alone.
wow,
Yeah, and
just
it's
in
like,
fuel.
well, how is that retirement? I'm not a baller. I'm literally going to be working my ass off just to move
Yeah,
that boat along the on
yeah.
the loop. So
So what
that
you
didn't
so what
work
you
out.
do what you do is you get about 10 people, you charge them $5,000 a pop to go on the loop with you, right? Like you're gonna captain the boat and you and you make them pay
The
for it.
whole point is to get away from people.
That's
Now I'm
okay.
bringing more than I want on land.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. No, there's always ways to do it. If it comes down to it, and I really want to do it, I got a jet boat. People are doing it on jet skis. I'll rig the jet boat. I'll do it if I set
Yeah,
myself to it. It was a bucket list item, but I don't know, man. Coming down there and getting a nice little place on the somewhere in the Keys, and then get a camper and camper travel. I don't
yeah,
know. It seems more my speed now. Plus,
yeah,
it's cheaper. It's a
yeah,
lot cheaper.
exactly.
When even coming down for MTE,
Uh-huh.
I think the whole time I was down there, and we went all over Florida after it ended. I'm coast to coast and up and
Yeah,
down. I think total fuel bill for that whole trip was like 430 in
that's
the
not bad.
truck. It's like that's going out for a day on the weekend in a
Yeah,
boat in the gas. So
yeah,
yeah, things change. Get a little shack down in the Keys, but then everything's more expensive in the Keys. So where are you really
yeah,
winning?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
everything's got its pluses and minuses. It's just finding the balance that you want to
right.
deal
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, that's the thing is, especially down here, anywhere near water is going to be stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Anywhere out in the middle of nowhere is going to be cheap as shit. It's trying to find that happy medium of not being completely out in the middle of nowhere and not being
Right.
on a lake or on the river or on the ocean. To be able to live, afford something comfortably. um I'm glad we did what we did. I mean, we bought our land and built our house. It's been 22 years ago now, because it was 2003. And we're kind of like in an a wooded area. It's more agricultural, but there wasn't a lot around us, and now everything started to grow around us. They're putting in more neighborhoods. They built a big town park, like, I don't know, 14, 15 years ago or whatnot, right, like just a mile or two down the street, that's got a movie theater and restaurants and shopping and grocery store and that type of stuff. And so, like, everything over the past 23 years has started growing towards us. And so, this little house that we paid next to nothing for is now worth 5 times what we paid for it,
Right.
everything's growing to us and the property value is going up so much. So that's the one thing I can say, like, we kind of did right, like we found this perfect little piece of land in the middle of the woods, built a house on it, built the house really cheap, and then just waited for everything to come to us. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
You how far out of like the actual city of Orlando are you? Because
Uh
you said woods. That was MTE was my first time in Orlando, so I don't know how far
yeah.
you got to go to.
So I mean, like, when I say woods, I mean there's like woods around us, but I mean there's still a
Yeah.
bunch of houses. I mean they just built
Yeah.
a toll road extension that goes
Oh, okay.
through the woods, so a bunch of the woods got knocked down. But so, like, I'm in Sanford, which is like, it's considered North Orlando, whatever they call it. So I mean, like, to actual downtown Orlando, like the main city of Orlando, depending on traffic on the interstate, it's maybe a 20-25 minute drive. Like,
Okay.
for me to go to MTE, which was at the Gaylord this year, which is like way south Orlando, like, it only took me like 40 minutes to get down there, and that's
Okay.
basically going from the top of Orlando to the bottom of Orlando, kind of. Um, so I mean, it's where I'm at is the greater Orlando area is what, like, North Greater Orlando
So
area.
you're out of the traffic.
I mean, kind of, but
That
I
was a
mean,
lot of I don't know if it was the time of year, but there was a lot of traffic down in
the
Orlando. Seemed like every 2 miles you wanted to go took 20 minutes.
well, and where MTE was held this year, the Gaylord was right across from Disney, so you get all the Disney stuff.
That's why it was okay.
Yeah, yeah, and especially on the weekend, right? Like, everybody's going to Disney at
Yeah.
nights for the, or what is it? Disney Springs. To going down to Disney Springs, for the restaurants and the bars and the stuff like that. Or, you know, a lot of people with annual passes will wait, and go, especially in Florida because it's so hot. They'll wait and go, afternoons, evening times to the parks, and then, the parks are open until midnight or something like that, so you can go, especially if you got an annual pass, you go 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening time and hang out for, 4 or 5 hours in the evening, do the parks or whatever. So yeah, it down there in the Disney area, the traffic is crazy. Pretty much no time, all times of the day. It's also that's the tourist area too, so
Right.
it's, you got all the tourist traffic, and then really I-4 is the only artery to get to Tampa. So, you're going through Disney to get to go to Tampa, like, or coming from Tampa to Orlando, you got to go through that whole little area. So, yeah, dude, I try to avoid that whole area altogether if I can.
That was the only forewarning I got about going to Orlando from anybody that had previously went to MTV. They're like, "Have fun with the traffic,"
Yeah,
and they weren't kidding. As soon as I saw a sign that said Orlando, we stopped.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and like,
But
so, like,
Steve,
next year when it goes back to the Rosen, it'll be just as bad because the Rosen is over on I Drive, and that's like the huge tourist area. So that's like where all the main hotels are, and then I Drive is kind of like right across from Universal Studios. It's got, all the little souvenir shops and restaurants and clubs and bars and everything. So when it gets down there, it's even, oh, and then the convention center's down there, and of course it's Orlando, so there's always a convention going on. So yeah.
everybody seems excited that it's moving back to the old
Yeah.
location.
Yeah, the Rosen
Was
was a
it
little
a better facility or just more to do in
uh
the area?
So I think what most people like about it is because it is on iDrive, so there's more hotels. So, like, the Rosen is kind of like, the Gaylord. It's a kind of expensive resort.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people will book one of the hotels down the street because it's, it's walking distance or it's a quick Uber ride or whatever. And then there are more restaurants that you can go to. Like at the Gaylord, it was just like, what was it, the Breakers little sports bar kind of thing. There was like that fancy
Yeah.
steakhouse, and then like the cafeteria was all they really had. So at least at the Rosen, there's like um the Rosen actually inside has like 3 or 4 restaurants that are pretty nice or pretty decent. Like a mixture of foods, like burgers and bar food. There's like a taco place. There's a nice steakhouse kind of thing or whatever. But on iDrive, there's a handful or more restaurants. A Fridays, a Chili's, a McDonald's, a pizza place, a this place, a that place. So
Yeah.
there's just more variety closer to. Um, so that's what I think everybody likes about the Rosen better than the Gaylord, was that there is more to do around the Rosen than at the Gaylord. So
Was it only at the Gaylord for the last 2 years?
so it was at the Gaylord um 3 years,
Oh,
I
okay.
believe. And then, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Gaylord, I'm sorry, the Gaylord was the last 2 years. It was at the Rose in like the 3 years before that, or 4 years before that. Um, but I can't remember exactly when I was talking with Sheldon. I think there was a scheduling conflict at the Rosen, so he had to book the
Uh,
Gaylord. But in booking the Gaylord, he had to book it like 2 years in a row or something like
right.
that. And then he was able to get it back to the Rosen. So I think we're at the Rosen for the next 2 years, and then he said at that point he's going to have to make a call to where maybe they actually move to the convention center, because MTE is growing so much, it's probably going to outgrow the Rosen in a couple of years, which would be cool to see it go to the convention center and be in a bigger place and bigger area and bigger everything. But um, I like it when it's either at the Rosen or at the Gaylord, because then everybody's right there, right? Like everybody
Yeah.
hangs out afterwards. It's at the hotel, like they go to the bars, they go to the restaurants or whatever. Like that's the one thing I always say is really cool about MTE compared to SEMA. Because like you go to SEMA and you're on, you walk the floor all day long, you talk to everybody, but then like, it's at the convention center. So then when it's done, everybody goes back to their different hotels, and then you kind of like lose everybody. Whereas
Yeah.
it's at when MT's at the Rosen or MT's at the Gaylord, like
Everybody's still there afterwards.
75 to 80% of the people are staying there, and if they're not staying there, like there's so much going on there that everybody stays until you know 9 or 10 o'clock before everybody goes
Yeah.
home or goes back to their hotels or whatever. So I just like that
uh,
it's, everybody in one place for the whole weekend, and it's easier to talk to people and hang out and network and everything. Um, so I don't know. I would be excited for it to grow big enough to be in the convention center, but then it's kind of like you might lose that the
yep.
closeness of it.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. Sheldon said it'll at least be 2 years before he has to make that decision, and like we talked
That's
about
good.
earlier, right? Like who knows what we'll all be doing in
Exact
2 years?
right.
Like,
Yep.
I mean,
That's just it.
yeah. I mean, part of me is kind of hoping maybe I'm not detailing anymore in 2 years. I mean, maybe I'm still with Aquatech or a business like in the industry, or who knows? Maybe I'm out completely and doing something different, and
Right. You
I don't
never
care
know.
yeah, I don't care where MTE is or SEMA is or
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Be
yeah.
out on your boat. Be out on
Yeah.
your boat enjoying the sunset somewhere instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I
Uh,
don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It's fun. I mean, It was cool. You had a good time, I think. At least it seemed like it.
Yeah, it was
Baker
the first.
competition too.
I didn't even know about MTE.
Oh, okay.
The round table was getting a house
Yeah.
for it in Orlando, and that's right around the time we want to get out of Michigan. So I was like, let's go stay with them for the weekend. And then I found out more about what MTE was, and
Yeah.
then cool, we're doing that and all that, and then got nominated for boat detailer of the year, and then
Nice.
the paint competition. It's like all that just rolled in whenever the dates were announced. I'm assuming that's when the roundtable said they were getting a house. Probably October. No, 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 no. I was down in Orange Beach, so that was in September.
Yeah.
No clue about MTE. But before, just over a year ago, I didn't know this whole other world existed out there.
Oh,
It's
wow.
always just been our, yeah, SEMA, the IDA,
Yeah.
roundtable, training events. Yeah, I had no clue none of any of that stuff
Oh,
went
wow.
on. Yeah, yeah.
So
It's
how is that?
might good.
No, I was gonna say, so, like, how has that changed your vision or your, um, knowledge or whatever of the industry? Like, having realizing, like, "Hey, there are all these other things out there."
The biggest thing has been the networking.
Yeah.
It's helped out. I've a lot of collaboration going on around here. Everybody sees me and Timmy on Facebook. He comes up and does a lot of boats with me, but
Yeah.
there's even just from that exposure and then me putting my stuff out. There's more local ones where we're getting a little. We just had a. I didn't put it on, but one of the younger guys around here, we've talked and he's coming to the shop, but he hit me up right before we went to Houston. He's like, next Thursday, dinner here, a couple detailers. Ended up being seven of us last night.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's nice to see it. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Everybody used to come to me for advice and stuff on boats until I opened the shop. And it's
Uh-huh.
like I became enemy number one once I opened this place. I don't know what happened,
You
but
became competition. It's like
I guess,
quickest way
I
to become an
guess.
enemy is to become
So,
competition.
but if you did a Google satellite of this area, uh, there's literally one marina could put all of the boat detailers in that one marina, and we still wouldn't have to compete. There
Right.
are that many boats around here. There's
Wow.
no reason. Yeah, yeah. It's ridiculous the amount of boats, but it is what it is. I
Yeah.
don't know. I got over it as quick as I could.
Yeah.
It sucked. I mean, there were a couple times last year you see three different company vans all grouped together over in this corner at the marina, and they're all looking over at me, and it's like, Jesus, what are they saying? I felt attacked, but a lot of people fed me that whole people get like that because they're jealous of what you got. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I just
But
rolled with the punches,
but
and
it's the
it's turning
same.
around now.
Yeah, but it's the same with the cars, dude. There are so many cars on the roads
Yeah,
that everybody could eat, and that's the thing that I don't get is all these detailers are just trying to get work, so they'll undercut jobs. Like they'll oh, that guy's doing it for that much. Well, I'll do it for this much to earn your business or whatever. And it's like if everybody just charged the same price, like we'd all
yeah,
have the same amount of work.
right.
I mean, like, when you go to buy a TV, whether you go to Walmart or you go to Target or you go to Best Buy, like, the TV is the same price, like,
Yeah,
like, it's I mean, you might get, like, the dollar days at Walmart or something where it's a little bit cheaper, but it's not, like, drastically cheaper, and that's the thing I don't get is, everybody's always like, "Oh, there's plenty of cars for everybody to eat," but then everybody's undercharging because
yeah,
they want all the work, I mean, dude,
yep.
I've said it before and I'll say it again and I'll continue to say it. Like, I mean, when I left the car wash, and we were doing full service at the time. It's different now because not a lot of car washes are doing full service, but I mean, like a slow day for us would be 350, 400 cars, and I'm like, dude, just
Wow.
give me 1 day cars from the car wash for my whole year, right? Like I probably wouldn't even be able to do that many because I don't work
Yeah,
every day, so like, even if you gave me half, just give me 150, 200 of those cars for my whole year, right? Now, hey, detailer next door to me, you take tomorrow's cars, you take the Wednesday's cars, you take Thursday's car,
yeah,
like, I mean, there's so many, like that's the way I look at it is like, man, just give me the cars that are going to the car wash. Like I'd be set for the whole year off of one day's worth of stuff. So I mean,
yeah.
if there's not many cars out there and the car washes are doing that and we're doing it and they're doing it and he's doing it and she's doing it, like, stop undercutting. Just everybody charge the same price and we'll all make money and we'll all be a lot happier and yeah.
I I think there should be like an industry agreed pricing.
Oh, there absolutely should.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Especially like with boats, there should be like no more or no less than this per foot. You know what I mean? There should be uh, just some kind of guideline out there. It's the same
yeah.
with cars. That
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch before is, and it's been talked about a lot in the industry too, is that there's just a low bar of entry, right? Like
right.
there's no
It's
qualifications. There's no, you don't have it's
it's
not
the lawn cutters of
right.
the
Yeah,
working world.
exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
look at a lot of other industries and you have to, not only go to a training, but you have to put in certain amount of time before you can whatever, plumbers, electricians,
Right.
contractors, like on and on and on, and it's like, but here we are. You can go to Walmart tomorrow and buy a, you know,
Yep.
the other guys, as my buddy Greg Masterson says, the other guy's bucket of wash and tire shine and window cleaner and a towel and whatever, and you can start a business and say you're a
Yeah.
detailer. So,
Yep. I know. I I see it every year with shrink wrap, and
yeah,
then in the spring, they go and work for somebody for a couple months in the summer, and then next year you see them. They're out there out of the trunk of their car. They're boat detailers now.
yeah,
It happens every year, and then they're the ones that are $200-300.
yeah,
Well, so and so's doing it. Well, call me in 2 weeks when the boat's faded back,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's what's
exactly,
gonna happen.
exactly.
You know,
Listen,
yeah, it's the
I'm gonna put all the boat detailers at ease here. Like, you don't have to worry about me. I'm not coming for you. Y'all can keep
I
your
was hoping when you got tired of that Florida heat, you come up here. You said the weather sounds nice. I got a couple boats you can work on. I'll
yeah.
take you out on it at least
Listen,
afterwards.
listen.
I'm cool like that.
It doesn't. The weather doesn't sound that nice. Okay, like
Okay.
if you
No,
had a
no sharks in the water.
yeah, well, no sharks, no alligators, right? Like
No, no.
that's the thing. Um, yeah, no.
And
Listen.
I love hearing people that say stuff like that, because I honestly I couldn't picture doing anything else. I don't know how to do anything else. So it makes me
Yeah,
feel good that at least I'm not as nutty as I thought I was.
yeah.
At least it's a skill other people don't want to do.
Listen, and I
I
mean,
at
like,
least found something.
yeah, I mean, listen, like I said earlier on, right? I mean, if somebody calls me, like, I really don't want to turn down the work if it's good money, but at the same time, like, you know, I said earlier, boats won't fit in my shop. So if I'm doing it, I have to do it outside, and it's got to be really good money for me to be, floor to heat,
Yeah,
outside the shop. I mean, not that the shop's that much cooler, but still. Um, so yeah, like it's just not my thing. So I don't advertise for it, so I don't get a lot. Usually the only times I get calls for it is like for my customers that I'm doing their cars, right? And they're like,
yeah.
"Hey, man, like, do you
That's where I get my
boat?"
cars from.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, "Do you
Yeah.
do boats?" I'm like, I mean, like, what are you trying to do? Like, I mean, how crazy are we trying to get here? So like, you
Yeah.
know, the last one I did was last year. Yeah, it was probably a year ago or whatever, and it wasn't too bad. It was a 26-foot like ski boat. wakeboarding boat, whatever you want to call them these days.
Yeah,
Um, and
that's a
it
good
wasn't,
size.
yeah, it
Not too
wasn't.
much.
No, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I had a little bit of fade to it, but it wasn't terrible. And it's one of my real good clients. So he's like, look, dude, he's like, we clean the inside. So like, I just need the outside buffed. And he goes, nothing crazy, just put a good sealant on it or whatever. So it was a few months after I had Ken on the podcast from Stark. So I reached out to Ken. I was like, hey man, like I got this boat coming in, like, you know, is there any way like, you'd send me some samples? Like, like I don't want to buy boat compound because I'm not going to use it. Like, send me some samples. He's like, oh, dude. He's like, I'll send you more than samples. Like, I'll just send you some stuff or whatever. Like hit it up. And I was like, oh, that's cool. If you send it to me, like, I'll take a bunch of pictures, a bunch of videos. I'll put it on the podcast, Instagram. I'll tag you guys in it. Like, I'll give you, I'll show you some love or whatever. And he's like, yeah, man, absolutely. So like, it was really cool because like um, he sent me their cut. I don't remember the name of it. Something R, I think. Um,
Level R.
yeah, Level R. And then he sent me the polish, and then he sent me their spray wax, which that shit was fucking legit, no joke.
The hydro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that stuff was
Yeah. That stuff's no joke.
yeah. And then he sent me a couple of their pads to try out. And it was cool because he was like, "Hey, call me if you have any questions or whatever." And I was like, "All right," and he's like, "Make sure you use a rotary." And I'm like, I was like, "Dude, all I got's a Lupez rotary." He's like, "It doesn't have enough ass end in it." He's like, "You need to go get you a DeWalt."
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, like, I mean, like, I feel like I was charging good money. I charged a guy like $1,200 to do it, which Rashid was the one that told me to how much per foot to quote. So I was charging him $1,200, but I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna go out and buy a $300 rotary for this one this one
Right.
thing. Like I was like, the Rupes has got to work, and he's like, well, he's like, do me a favor then, and I was like, what? He goes, don't use any of those. He goes, don't use any of the Rupes wool pads. He goes, go out and get you a big boy, wool pad, the big
Yeah.
7 inch, 8 inchers or whatever. And
Right.
he's like, at least cut it with that. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, absolutely, no, I could do that. So my buddy is Simon I's rep down here, and his warehouse space is right in the building next to mine. So he comes rolling up, and I was like, "Hey man, you got wool pads?" He's like, "Hell yeah, I got wool pads." He's like, "What do you need one for? You don't do any of that stuff." I was like, "I got that boat down there. I got a rotary. Give me a wool pad." He's like, "All right, here you go." So I got a wool pad off of him and went to it, man. And yeah, I mean, it was listen, it was one of those things like it was fun to do once last year, and that's
Gotcha.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's why it was last year.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean,
Uh,
and again, I would imagine it's probably like anything else. The more you do it, the more you get used to it. The
right.
easier like you start figuring things out. Like, okay, like I can cut time here. I can be more efficient. This I can do that. And so yeah. You just have to get out there and do it, I guess. So
Yeah. And that's what I've always done. And when I got into it, there was nobody training you how
mhm.
to do it. So nowadays, like at any of the trainings or even the events, people, I'm not the train. I don't know how to get it out my process. It's
Yeah,
just, it's muscle memory now. I have a very hard time explaining how I do it. Just
right.
watch and I'll try it. Yeah.
I'm the
I
same
don't know
way.
how to explain it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been
the
so
same way.
long since I've done it. It just, it
That's
just was
why.
self learned and it's in here. I don't know how to teach it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how I am. That's why, like, I don't want to do trainings. Like, a couple of people have asked me. I was like, bro, like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, I just do it. Like,
Right.
just do it.
Right.
Like,
I
I can
tried
show
that
you.
with
I can
Nicole.
show you what I
As
do. Yeah, but it's
yep,
like,
I can show you.
yeah, I don't know how to say like, it's this much arm pressure, it's this much whatever. I mean, like, I've
Thank
been
you.
I've been enough to Noxie's trainings, and like the way that he explains everything, I'm like, okay, I get it, but there's no way I could tell you how I do it.
Yep.
Like
When I see Rashid or Rain when
yeah,
they do it, it's like, yeah, I get what you're telling. I don't know how to do it. Yep.
yeah,
I push this hard.
yeah.
One through five,
Yeah.
I'm pushing
Just,
three.
just go up
That's
and down and back and forth a couple times, like whatever, like till the
oh
scratches go
god, you
away.
sound
Like
exactly like me training somebody. Now just do
yeah,
that 3 times.
yeah.
Yeah,
Are the scratches
yeah,
gone? Yeah. All right, you did it. Good job. Like like
yep.
you get a certificate.
Oh, oh, there's probably a couple people watching this right now laughing. They're like, "That's exactly how he taught me, and I didn't learn."
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's been my hardest thing is with the move to Aquatech is you know trying to be trying to like I know how the shit works. I know how to put a coating on. I know what to look for. I know like because I experience it, right? But it's like trying
Yeah,
to go like, okay, so here's what you're gonna do. Here's how you're gonna look. Like that's where I'm trying to like figure myself out because that is something that I have to not necessarily train people on because we don't really do like a training to get certified kind of thing, but like I do realize I have to be able to tell people like, okay, this is how you need to, how much you need to apply on the applicator. This is how you need to do it. This is what you need to look for in the flash. This is wipe off, whatever. So I've tried to start getting better with that, but I feel like coatings are a little bit easier to explain than polishing because no paint no two paints are alike you know
yeah.
um it could be heavily swirled and scratched and tore up or it could be really light. You don't need to go heavy with it. It's so hard to like
Right. And when I look at it, I know, or my fingernail will tell me.
yeah,
I can't tell you how I just knew that.
yeah,
It's I don't know how to explain it.
yeah,
That's I try and pay attention when I'm at any training or event like that to see how they do it. So, because I'm having a problem with help trying to train help in here.
okay,
It's not even about for classes and actually training people. It's to train people that work with me.
yeah, to work
It's
with you,
been
yeah,
hard. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think Nicole divorced me twice this spring.
Oh
Trying to explain it. Yeah, man. So it's difficult. I I never nobody ever told me how to do it, so I don't have like that base. Like here's how you can explain
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I'm one of them ones like I assume you should know this part.
right,
I
right.
can't. Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like a I
That's
feel
a
like a lot of it is you just gotta try it. You gotta
yeah.
pick a pad, pick a compound, and do a test. I mean, that's the whole reason why we have test spots.
Yep.
You do a test
Yep.
spot. Did it work? No. Okay. Does it need a more aggressive pad, a least aggressive pad, or does it need a more aggressive compound or a least aggressive compound? Like once you
That's the part I can help you with. I
yeah
could tell you, but I can't teach you. I could
yeah
tell you to go this way and that way, but
yeah
that you got to kind of figure it out. So
yeah
it went by. I mean, all the work got done, so
right.
it
No
happened. But I know it wasn't very smooth.
yeah. At the end of the day,
I
as
know
long as,
it
as
wasn't.
long as the work got done and the checks got cash, like
Uh,
everything else can be, a spaghetti
hopefully,
noodle drawn on a map, right? Like sometimes there's no straight lines to getting it done, but
no.
as long as you got there is all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
listen,
I'm
man,
happy with that.
it's I don't know. I think you're an hour behind me, but
No,
it's
we're the same time.
oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah, 9:44, quarter to
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, yeah. So that tells you how much I know about my time zones in the country. But yeah,
I
I mean, listen, man, I'm having an awesome time talking with you. I don't want to cut this short, but I got to get up early tomorrow and go do some work.
uh,
So, so we can,
I got the sanding done and all that, so now it's time to pick up the wheel and start compounding.
you're
So
gonna how
I
late
got a little work too.
how late you gonna stay?
Who knows?
Who
Who knows?
knows?
That's the joys of having my own shop.
Yeah, I
That's why I
guess.
got all the disco lights in here. You
Yeah,
get bored. What are you seeing? Come on. I end up in a pirate outfit wearing a life jacket. Sometimes the fumes get to you in this place.
That's awesome.
Some,
Yeah.
sometimes I gotta entertain myself. The dog
There you
falls
go.
asleep
Hey,
and the entertainment's gone.
it's listen,
I don't
man.
know. The drunk girl knocking on the door for the bathroom might still be out there.
There you go. There you go. Well,
It's
listen,
Friday
Mike.
night, man. Never
Yeah,
know what's going on outside.
exactly. Well, listen, dude, if anybody wants to, learn more about you or maybe hit you up and pick your brain about marine detailing or something like that, like where can people get a hold of you at on socials or
Yeah, social.
email?
I'm on them all: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I don't have a website or nothing, so
Okay.
Mike's
What's
Marine Care at Gmail, but Facebook. That is usually how most people get a hold of me, through Messenger and stuff, or they
gotcha.
just text me.
Yeah. Gotcha,
Yeah.
man. Well, listen, dude, this has been a blast, man.
Yes.
Thanks for volunteering to
No problem.
put yourself on the
I, I've
sacrifice.
I've I follow your show, so
Thanks, man. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
I knew it wasn't going to be 100% all work and polish and compounds. I knew
Dude,
it'd be a good real chat, and I
yeah.
needed that. I
No,
did.
man. Listen,
So
I realized last year that it just needed to be conversation.
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
always have to
It's
be.
it's the break we need. It's the break
Yeah,
we need.
yeah.
It's nice filling it in with a little bit about the shit,
Well,
but
and
when it's 24/7, man, it just
right,
gets too much.
right. And the whole purpose, the whole reason I started this podcast years ago was to get to know other detailers. And I just for the first 3.5, 4 years or whatever, I just kind of went about it wrong. I was asking detailers about detailing instead of just talking to detailers. So like,
Yeah, yeah,
I made that change and just made it conversation. And we talk about detailing, great. If we don't talk about detailing, even better.
yep.
It's just the best way to learn about people is just to have a conversation with them. And that's what I enjoy the most. So I mean, it was great because I know you and I have talked a little bit, here and there, but not a whole lot. And so this was
Right.
awesome, man. So I really appreciate this. It was a blast to talk to you and get a
Same,
little
same.
get a little deep about our parents a little bit, and it's something I haven't talked about a lot. So I mean, that was interesting. I didn't cry, so that's a good thing because I thought I was going to start talking to my
Uh,
dad.
uh,
I started thinking about
man,
fuck, man, like it's gonna
when
be
when you said that, I was like, oh, brother, because I'm not gonna lie, there's been a lot of tears the last 2 3 weeks around here.
yeah.
Hell, even before, when my sister picked us up to go to the airport for Houston, I was in tears because
Oh
just
wow,
it was nonstop. It was
yeah.
a mess up to that. Um, the real ID, I thought I might be driving there because mine didn't come in time.
Oh,
It came the day before. Okay,
oh,
it was sitting on my keyboard in the envelope. Somebody called me, I thought, regarding Houston. It wasn't. His girlfriend was leaving or whatever. But I opened it while I'm packing and everything. Cool. I got my new ID. An hour and a half later, she shows up and it's gone. It's like, that's what I mean. That's how that week
jeez.
was. All the way down to the wire. That's why I said I should not be getting on this plane.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so, all
Uh,
right, Alex, I
listen, man,
appreciate it, man.
don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. No, no, it was a blast, dude. It was great. I look forward to seeing you in more places and talking to you more. And don't stay too late working on that boat, man. Go home and get some rest at
No,
least.
no. I got the dog. See, the dog was my excuse to get sober. She's my excuse to go home because she
There,
ran
there,
out of food here. We gotta go home and get food for her. So
there you
maybe
go.
another hour. I'll make it early.
There you go. There you go. All right, buddy. You take
Thanks,
care, man.
thanks for giving me the break, though. Thanks for
Yeah.
giving me a break. This
No,
is
man.
perfect timing.
It was a blast, dude. You have
All
a
right,
great night,
take
buddy. I'll
care.
talk to you later.
You too.
See you.
Enjoy your
Bye.
weekend.